The U.S. military poised and ready to strike Syria. Then President Obama announces he wants a vote from Congress that could be several weeks away. Let's bring in Lieutenant Commander Jack Liles. He's a former F-14 fighter jet pilot. His Navy flight training is used Syria actually as a model target. And then David Isby, he is a former military advisor to President Reagan and has written extensively on Afghanistan. Good morning, gentlemen, to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
David, first to you. We heard from a senior administration official yesterday who said that Martin Dempsey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said the timing here doesn't matter, that a delay does not affect the U.S.'s capability to strike Syria. Is that accurate?
No, it's going to either affect it one way or the other. You can either bring more forces into the region, commit more forces in a position to participate in a strike, or the forces that you're there are going to have to be sustained, refuel, retire. So it can go up or it can go down, but it's going to be expensive and difficult to keep it on station.
And Jack, can you talk about this a little bit? You're a former Navy pilot. Certainly you were in the past very used to being at the ready. Talk about what this means for the U.S. Navy. They're stationed there in the Mediterranean. They, I'm assuming, as we were fully prepared to literally just go as soon as the president said the word. What does this mean for them?
Well, it's really almost operations as normal for the Navy, and particularly these ships that are stationed in the Eastern Mediterranean right now. When these ships go overseas for 6 to 9 month deployments like they are now from their U.S. bases, they're prepared 24/7 to follow any orders, to be at any location and be prepared to execute any mission. So to be real honest, this is the Navy's normal operating procedure. If these ships weren't here, they'd be somewhere else in the Mediterranean or in the Persian Gulf region, perhaps, patrolling, doing exercises, training, being ready for calls just like this. So this is not, at least for now, causing any type of abnormal operations for those ships.
So this is part of it. They're at the ready, or they're ready to even stand down. David, as a military advisor, talk a little bit about this, because we understand certainly, you know, some Americans are going to look at the president's decision and they will read this as he is deliberating more. But Syria, and we're talking about the government, we're also talking about the rebels, see this as a bit of a blink, might be the understatement actually. How does this affect the president's how does this affect the president's strategy when it comes to Syria?
Well, certainly it's come to a crucial decision. In 2011, when President Obama said Assad has got to go, he was losing the war. The day this chemical weapons attack happened, Assad and his forces were winning the civil war in Syria. So both sides are looking to the United States to change that, and they're also looking in terms of the greater Middle East. You're seeing increased conflicts, not just in Egypt, but throughout the region, especially along sectarian fault lines. And of course, there is people looking at the edge of the region to Iran and Afghanistan.
And Jack, obviously the idea here is with a limited cruise missile strike, it is send a message to Syria, and then the hope of the administration then would be, and that's where it ends. The wild card would be, though, how Syria might respond, how its allies might respond. Can you sort of describe what type of retaliation we could see in response to a strike?
It's really hard to predict. I've read the last few days a lot of prognosis about more like civilian-focused terrorist-type attacks in the region. There's also the military option. Syria does possess, I mean, they do have aircraft that hopefully will neutralize in this strike if this takes place. There are anti-ship cruise missiles that Syria has a capability to launch out into the Mediterranean. I'm sure, however, U.S. forces from a military side are fully prepared for all that and very aware of what Syria's capabilities are from a military standpoint. I think the wild card is the retaliation in a more non-conventional manner that could impact the region and more strategically.
Jack Liles, David Isby, thank you guys for being with us.